Hey, it's Andy Kushner with The Wedding Biz, and I'm about to take my annual winter break over in Maui, and I can't wait. I keep going back there because that island just does something magical for me, and I always come out of it even more grounded. It's like I have my own little world there with wonderful friends. Plus, I really know the island, the hikes, the beaches, the restaurants, and where all the sunsets are, which I do every single night on a beach or an outcropping of lava rock. It's amazing. And I recommend that we all find the time or create the time to take breaks from our normal lives and career. I think it's absolutely critical. And for me, just so inspiring. I really reset myself and re-energize. Anyway, if you missed last week's episode, it was with wedding filmmaker and documentary Abby Madison to talk about his masterclass. It was a real good one. And today is my second time sitting down with Josh Spiegel, founder and chief creative officer of Birch Event Design, who revolutionized the luxury event industry with a high-touch approach to bespoke decor, floral design, and production, and has gained international acclaim for transforming spaces into stunning, memorable experiences. Just look at his Instagram feed. Birch has been featured in leading style publications, including Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, People, and Brides, and is a true trailblazer in the wedding and events industry. And if you missed my first all-encompassing interview with Josh, it was on February 8th of 2021. It was episode number 330. Be sure to check it out. Enjoy this new conversation with Josh Spiegel. Josh, it is amazing to think that it has been almost 4 years, maybe 4 years since we last spoke.
That's crazy. I cannot believe it's been that long. Wow, how time flies.
Yeah, and it was still kind of in the thick of COVID. And I'm just so glad we're, 98% past that.
I don't know about 98%. I'm feeling, I sort of don't look in the mirror anymore on that one. I feel like we have to forge forward and keep going. And every time it comes up, I'm just like, right, that, like it's a blip of memory, but it is unbelievable what we all went through. It's incredible.
Well, and there's definitely some PTSD to this, at least for me, in a variety of ways. Like when I'm on an airplane, I'm still thinking, should I have a mask on? And, when I'm around a lot of people, when I go to concerts, it's like people are yelling and I know, I don't even want to say it. I know what's flying through the air when people are, and I'm definitely, more mellow in a sense. I just don't like, being around a ton of people as much. Of course, I'm in the business, so I am.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, I guess it's not called to any industry who loves you. There's so many people and everyone's so excited to see each other. There's so much love in the room and everyone's hugging and kissing.
That's true.
We're in a very personable business. You know what I mean? Like it's all about the hug. If you don't know how to hug well, this might not be the best business for you.
I love how you're saying that. Yeah, that's all about it. Well, and also one other thing that came out of the pandemic is that I do, relationships and, connecting with people is even more important than it used to be for me.
Right. No, I agree with you. And I do think that these found ourselves because of that sort of leaning on each other during that time period. And I think the friendships that built from them were even greater. And ultimately, I don't know, I have so many fond memories of deeper conversations, truer friendships, kinder communication and support from that time. That's really helped propel us at least forward to where we are today, which is something I'm forever grateful for, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same. Well, let's come up to today. So how was, at the time of this recording, it's like the middle of December. How was 2024 for you? How did that go for your business?
Honestly, 2024 was amazing. We scaled tremendously, acquired another smaller floral company that's incredible and so proud to have it on our ship right now. And honestly, it was a busy year. It was a great year. Business was, 30% up or whatever it may be, maybe a little bit more than that. We scaled into corporate, which is not part of our, not part of our offerings in the past, and just really good things. I'm really grateful for 2024, really grateful for what it's done for our business and the opportunities allowed us to have. I've traveled more than I've ever traveled in my life. I've attended more incredible events than I ever attended in my life, and I've gotten to meet the coolest people all around the world. So I'm personally very blessed. And then on top of it, Birch has has really soared. So I'm very blessed in that space as well.
Yeah, and in a moment, I want to say something about that, about how you have soared. But before I do, how does 2025 look now relative to this past year?
I think it's 2025 is going to be a rocket ship. I mean, from line of sight, I mean, business is going to be great. You know, events are going to be booming. People are looking to have a good time, create memories, have great experiences. The opportunities that have kind of come our way already for 2025 are just amazing, and I'm so excited for them. And then on top of that, I mean, our line of sight sometimes is very short. We don't get tons of lead time. So the fact that we're looking at as much as we're looking at right now, I can only imagine how much better it's going to get, and it excites the hell out of me. And I'm also what I'm really looking forward to is really the collaboration. Like, I'm working with a lot of other companies that do what we do, which is something I think that's super unique and hasn't been done very often. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Can you give me an example of what kind of company are you talking about, and what kind of collaborations?
Sure. So for example, we're bringing in another design company to partner with us on a mega wedding next year, where we're splitting the design, splitting the production, splitting all of it, really just going into it hand in hand as partners. No ego, all in for the client, and going to just produce an even more epic event. And the coolest part is that our brains are different. We think differently, we design differently. So it's going to be really exciting to see this marriage come together. Excuse the pun, but this marriage come together, and ultimately, even between us, see how that sparks into something even cooler. Because if you really think about it, we're all creatives. We all live and breathe our own sort of mindset and our creativity from our teams and so on and so forth. But once we're all together in a room, like, imagine you put two great companies in a room, it can only be that much better, as long as everyone kind of checks their ego at the door. And I found companies and people that I really appreciate and respect in this industry that I'm excited to play with. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, I'm curious, Josh, for this particular event, I mean, you don't need to name names, but did you bring in this other company, or did they bring you in?
No, I brought them in, actually. I was looking for an opportunity for it.
But I'm just curious, that is a big move for you to do that. I mean, one thing I'm going to get into in a moment is, I do follow you on Instagram, and the photos are spectacular. And I'm just curious why. Yeah, but why would you? I have ideas why, but I want to hear from you. Why would you bring in a whole nother design company into one of your big jobs?
But I'll tell you, it's strange, but also why not? I think that, again, I've seen the value, like on photo shoots, or when someone's doing a sponsored event or a promotional event, like any of the parties we all go to and any of the events that are created in the industry. A lot of times people are partnering with other people because financially no one wants to take that big hit and say, okay, I'm going to sponsor an entire, conference. We'll do a piece of the conference. We'll do this or do that. And it's so interesting to see, I've been watching from the outside, watching these amazing companies sort of just like, collaborate with each other, sort of like a relay race, I want to say, where like, okay, I'll do the floral, you do the linen, I'll do the linen, you do the rentals. And I've been watching it, and I really appreciate that. But then I'm like, what happens if you both ran together, put your brains together, and everyone had different strengths? I bring someone in who's a little stronger with fabrication. Someone else brings me in because they want someone a little bit more in floral. Like, here we get together and we're able to just create something that uniquely just wouldn't happen. And frankly, I want to see more unique things. I want to see cooler, better, greater, more interesting design next year. And I want to have the opportunity to play with other people who love it, what they do as much as I do. So I said to myself, why not? What do I have to lose? Maybe the profit won't be as high, but like, why not? Think about the experience.
Yeah, but it also takes a sense of humility, which not everyone may necessarily have in order to do something like that. And a lot of people, I think, would just say, look, I want this all to myself. So that's really cool too, that you're able to do that.
Well, I was going to say, that's why I prefaced with, you have to check your ego at the door. If you can't do that, then it's not for you. Also, like, Let's be honest, there are so many of us that are competing against each other. Like, there was an event that someone called me yesterday, and they're like, would you be willing to partner with this other company? They're based in another state. The client feels very confident in them, but I think that you're the right fit for the client. So the question is, would you be willing to partner with this other team? Whether it's you do one event, they do one event, you do one event, they do one event, or you guys could collaborate on the events if you think that that's something that you were comfortable doing. And when she said it to me, I was like, well, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I compete against someone else? We both drive our jobs down, the price is down, when I could just like jump in and we could drive the ship into the sunset and have a interesting collaborative time. It will be a lot of fun. We'll get to work with each other in different ways. It's happening a lot in the planning community. Why shouldn't it also happen in the design community? Like, what is it about us that says, hey, I'm scared to be in a room with someone else who's as good or differently great than us? You know what I mean? And I think for me right now, I'm in a place of let's play. That's where I am.
No, I love that. Well, I want to come back to what I was saying about the posts that I see on your Instagram feed. Each one is just bursting with creativity and reflects a mood and a sense of elegance. And I noticed one of your posts was captioned with, quote, "Event design is all about creativity, transforming spaces, crafting moods, and making every detail shine," unquote. And so I wonder if you can tell a story or two about what you or your team learned about a client's taste and vision, and then some detail about how you manifested it in the Birch Event Design manner.
Wow, that's a loaded question. That's a good one. Let me think of a great idea. Okay, how's this? We're doing one coming up. The wedding's not till February. It's going to be incredible. We've been really struggling for the best reasons with this client's design direction. Not because we don't feel capable, but because they're very specific. They don't necessarily want it to be a wedding. They're not necessarily looking for flowers. They're looking for a unique experience for their guests. In their words, they want to create a contemporary art gala that no one's ever been able to experience before. And listening to that, and lots of color and movement and lots of people. And here we are, we're sitting there like, how do we make this more of a wedding? How do we make this more of a wedding? Do we go fluffier with flowers? Do we hang flowers from the ceiling? Very surrounded about the flowers because we know the colors and accents that come into the space. Creating an immersive space is something we love to do. So that was not the challenge. The challenge was more, how do we create an immersive experience that speaks truly to the bride and groom who want this, very different direction or feeling when guests walk into the space. So a guest will expect to walk into a room with beautiful flowers. A guest would not expect to walk into a room with stained glass windows hanging from the ceiling that allows light to come through and is an actual art exhibit that should be placed in some museum somewhere. But it's not an expectation. So what we do is we listen first. We sat there and we went over it and we weren't afraid to keep calling her and being like, hey, we need to speak about this again. Maybe there'll be a new keyword that we'll pick up on that will transform the space. And this last phone call that literally everything clicked in one day and we were able to redesign the entire event in one day was because she literally said the words, "I want to walk into a contemporary art gala." And before that, we were talking a lot about art, but we were really focusing on the wedding. And the word wedding played no role in that statement she made. So I think from our perspective, to answer your question is, when you're a good listener and you're not afraid to be disruptive, you don't have to follow. I love that about our business. Like, there's really no rules to our business. I mean, you have to follow law, you have to make sure things are safe, but there are really no rules. So if you go over there and you're like, okay, I'm jumping into the sandbox. I swear, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at my desk and I'm looking at this drawing yesterday. People were laughing at me. After we got off the phone, and I'm not a drawer by any means. I'm not an artist, not a drawing artist, at least. I'm a good storyteller, I like that. But I was sitting there, I got a box of pencils, all different colors, and I drew out the color story on a piece of paper with a bunch of shapes. And someone walked in, one of my teammates walked in, she goes, "You're back in kindergarten." I said, that's so interesting. I think what we do is very much, I think if you want to be great at the job that we do today, or at least what we do here at Birch, is you had to be an excellent kindergarten student. You just did. You had to be able to take color, take shapes, and just play for the sake of playing, not for the sake of rules. Like, you just took stamps and you stamped it on a piece of paper, and whatever came out, and it was beautiful because it was yours. And there's no one to compare it to. So I don't know if that answered your question at all, but I went on a huge tangent.
No, I love it though. But especially when you were talking about how, you had another conversation and they brought up this idea, like you said, about the feel of an art gallery and how that completely changed your direction. Correct. I love that. And I think that's a really important point for those of us listening.
We just need to be good listeners. I think that's a big part of the
Right.
statement we made is, yes, we're about being creative. Yes, we're about the detail. But in order to get there, you have to know how to listen to what the client's asking for, or what the planner is asking for, or what the space is calling for. You have to be able to be good listeners so you could translate that into an incredible experience. And then the details are really just everything it picks up from, whether it's light or the type of glass you use or stunning charger or the carpet under a table, but not inside the whole room. Those kinds of moments really, 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 I think it's a subconscious thoughtfulness, that guest experience that we're proud to give them, and I think that might be the difference. I think that might be it.
That's so well said. I've been asked where I gain the inspiration and expertise to host this show, The Wedding Biz, and it all comes from my own experience in the weddings and event industry of creating world-class entertainment to support our custom entertainment design. Kushner Entertainment features outrageously dynamic bands, strings, and a host of other entertainment acts that have won numerous international, national, and local to the Washington, D.C. area awards, not only for individual acts, such as the band Sound Connection, but also for our highly engaging and captivating entertainment design concepts. Go to KushnerEntertainment.com to learn more about the ultimate in event entertainment. That's KushnerEntertainment.com. Also, Josh, people tend to think that, or maybe I'm surmising this, that a lot of people out there think that business is not so hard for you because you've been doing it at such a high level and for so long, you've arrived. What are some of the challenges that you still face, whether strict business or personally as related to business, at this level, what you're doing? I mean, obviously to get to this level is very difficult, but it's a whole nother thing to stay there, continue it, keep growing, keep expanding, which you are doing, scaling, as you mentioned, taking on corporate. What are some of the challenges that you have to deal with?
I don't think that the challenges are any different than what they used to be. Is that crazy to say? Like, I'm still struggling with team. I'm still struggling with culture. I'm still struggling with the profit margins. I'm still, every day it's the same challenges. This is not a business of plug and play. Everything we're doing is so custom. You're still at the mercy of tens of people, sometimes hundreds of people touching one project, that any one person drops the ball or slides to the left, and then they're not in perfect unison. There's no saying how far then the ball will drop. And then you have to still grab the ball, find it, and go run with it to the finish line again. So I don't think that my challenges are very different. I do think that I am very blessed that we put together a team of people who can help catch up all sooner. I have a CFO that focuses on the finance side. We have our CEO who's focusing on the business side. We have our head of operations focusing on everything that producers, logistics, operations, staffing, and warehousing are being focused on. And then you have the same thing in the floral department, where back in the day, I think I had to do it all myself. But business-wise, I still think internally in each of those departments, we're still dealing with the same issues that you may have when you're a mom and pop shop with the flower not showing up in the right shade, or the plexi showing up and it's a little bit damaged because it was left in the sun for too long, or bubbling, or water spilling on a carpet and having to get it soaked out, or tents collapsing before parties from the weight of a storm. That happens still, and I don't think those will ever go away.
Yeah.
I think at this point, I just have a better attitude in terms of facing it. I don't get frazzled by it anymore. I don't get worked up the way I used to. I now have the confidence and experience to say it is what it is. It's going to be great. There's never been a time where it didn't happen. It will happen. We just have to make it happen. So I don't get intensely worked up anymore about the shade of cherry wood that came in, because I know with lighting, it may not make the biggest difference, So that's on the business side, to answer your question.
Well, just for a moment, I love what you're saying about that. I mean, I've gone through the same kind of process personally, where like long ago, I mean, my team could see the anxiety. It was all over me. I'd be walking real fast, or speaking quickly, or it'd just be all over my face. And I, now, whether it comes with age or I don't know, I meditate, maybe it was slowing down from the pandemic. I don't know, but I'm more relaxed about all of this. And I think you said too, and I do the same thing, when there's an unexpected challenge that comes up, whether it's with the team or with a job or a client or whatever, I'm pretty relaxed, and I just assume that I will be able to solve it. Me and my team will be able to solve it. There's some kind of an answer out there. Behind every obstacle, there's an opportunity, and I really do believe that. And so I'm, the same as what you said, is that I'm also relaxed. I also want to ask you, earlier when you were answering that question of mine, you mentioned some of the items, one of them being culture.
Culture is a big deal.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I think culturally, like in a business, I think people, a lot of our industry is made up of smaller companies of 2, 3, 4, 5 people, which sometimes is better because you're not dealing with as many personalities. Sometimes it's worse because if there is a personality on the team that doesn't work well or fit with everybody else, it can get toxic very quickly. And I don't like the word toxic. I don't love that word, but it can get very stressful and unnecessarily intense. And I think that as business owners, some of us don't know how to pull the trigger and say, hey, what matters first? Would you rather have a hole in the company or an asshole in the company? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the way that we, like, I think some people don't, like, I've spoken to other businesses that like they struggle. They have a team that's doing amazing work, or one of their teammates is not great energy or brings the team down or is always negative. And they're like, but I can't let them go.
Yeah, it's poison.
Yeah, and I can't let them go because they do such great work and I can't imagine my life without them. And then I think part of growing up, I had to realize that sometimes you have to help cut the cord with really talented, incredible people who you also may love as people because they're not interacting the way you need them to for the culture of your company with other people. And I think that's very deep. And I don't think people think about it too much, but it's definitely slowing people down.
I think you make a really good point. I remember in my early days in business, I'm in the entertainment business. I'm dealing with musicians and performers, entertainers, which is, part of me is that as well.
Yeah, I could say ego.
Well, it's a whole nother thing. And so, different perspective of thinking. And I remember when I would have just some great talent that was creating great amount of drama, and I would put up with it because I was afraid to let go of the talent aspect of these people or person, and it would cause more drama and more angst, and in the end, as you know, it really hurts the culture and everything else. And so I got to the point where I don't care how talented someone is, if they're poisonous to the rest of the team, to the culture of the company, I will let them go and just assume, like we were talking about earlier, that I will find someone at least as good, but brings a better attitude, but has the attitude, the right attitude. I think that's, so I agree with you.
Your answers are right. I think that's a part of growing up. You know what I mean? I think that we need to go through the pain of holding on to some people too long. But again, it's nothing negative about those people. Like, they could be great people, some of which are your friends and people you respect and are talented and are creative and cool and amazing humans. But ultimately, just it's not a cultural fit. And what we do now, we spend a ton of time. We're always hiring. So there's people on our team that are interviewing day in and day out. And one of the biggest things we look for is cultural fit. And if we don't think it's going to fit, culturally with our team, because one of the coolest things about being here is we kind of want everyone that works at Birch to desire nothing more than being at Birch. That's really where we want to be. We want to be the best version of ourselves for our team. So our team looks at everything else and says, hey, I'm so grateful to be here. They take good care of me. There's a great culture. I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy the people I work for. The work is fun. It's validating. It's intense and crazy. And we cry, but we're also equally as excited and joyful and inspired every day by the people we're surrounded by. And I do think that that's a huge piece of a business and growing a business that not all of us pay attention to until sometimes it's a bit too late. I know on my side it was like that. And now I have to say, once you cut the weeds, your garden grows fresher. It looks prettier. It looks healthier. And that's where we're supposed to be.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the business side of things. I would touch on the other side because I don't think it's spoken about enough. You asked in the same question, whether it's business or personal or otherwise. And I would say personally, the struggles are exactly the same as well. No matter how big you get, you're always chasing to the top. And no matter how big your company is or how easy people think it is to have this kind of big company, the more people you have working for you and the bigger your team is and the more overhead you have, the more events you need and the more perception needs to be correct about your company and so on and so forth. So you're always constantly battling the same fights personally, meaning you're still homeless with your family. It's not like I get to go home more because now Birch is something. Now I think I even work harder than I ever worked in my life because now I'm not only taking care of my clients, but I'm also taking care of my team. And I'm also taking care of, like I said, the culture. And I'm also trying to reinvest, and I'm also trying to grow, and I'm trying to scale. And personally, that still weighs down on your quote unquote work-life balance, which I always tell everyone who comes to apply here. I'm like, guys, this is not a work-life situation. This is a lifestyle period. And either you're in it or you're not. Like, those are your options. It's not 9 to 6, 10 to 5, 11 to 7. You don't unfortunately get to shut off when you're in the service business.
It's whatever it takes.
Exactly. Sometimes you're going to be great and be calm and cool and collected, and you'll be able to go home and enjoy your life and not worry about your phone ringing. But there are opportunities, there are chances more than not that your phone may ring, and the expectation is that you're going to pick it up. So this is a lifestyle that you have to be ready for. And if you're not ready for it, then don't do it. Like, it may just not be for you, regardless of how glamorous and exciting it looks on the outside. And I would say my family personally takes the hit on a lot of those things, because my company is something I focus on so much, and it takes away a lot of time from them. So that struggle is exactly the same way it was when I started this, 18 years ago.
So what do you do then to unwind and to refuel, the creative tank, with everything that you are in charge of and dealing with, and goals and objectives? What do you do?
Personally, I'm an experienced junkie. So when I take minutes of the day, I would say minutes. I don't carve out an hour. I don't believe that you need an hour and a half in order to get better. I do take minutes throughout my day whenever I need them for myself, whether that means a quick walk, whether that means a phone call with my mom, whether that means speaking to the kids, whether, 6 to 7:30 in the morning, like I live on FaceTime with my daughter, like we just chat for as long as I possibly can, go for coffee. I take minutes. I believe, like, people look at their days and they're like, okay, I have 10 hours or 12 hours or 8 hours of my day. And I consistently tell people I have 720 minutes of normal working hours. And then I have 720 minutes of whatever else I want. Whether I choose to sleep, or if I choose to go out to dinner, or if I choose to go to a movie at 11 o'clock at night to see Wicked, even though it's a 2-hour and 40-minute movie, that's what I'm going to do, because I want to do it. So I really value my minutes, and that's how I refuel. I refuel in every minute I can. And then every minute that doesn't belong to me, or belongs to the team, or belongs to other people, my clients and my executive team, and all these incredible people I'm surrounded by, I make the time for them, because in order for them to enjoy their minutes, I need to make sure that I'm ever present for them. So the shorter answer, because that was really long, is in whatever you're doing, whether it's for somebody else or for yourself, you have to be present. And I think that's how I really refuel. I'm lucky enough to not work every weekend. I'm home at least 50% of the year, and I get to shut off. Like, I shut my phone off for 25 hours. So it is what it is. And that's part of the beauty of my religion, I guess. But it's something I've been doing my whole life. So I fully recharge then. And then on the weekends that I'm at, I'm on a job site or doing whatever I need to do, my phone is still off. So I'm always detached. So unless you're with me, you don't have me.
Right. I love it. God, Josh, what an incredible catch up we just had, in all these years.
My gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to stay in more touch with you. You have so much to offer in terms of these topics that we're digging into that that I know people can really relate to and get help from. So thank you for taking the time today with me. Appreciate it very much.
Let's make it happen. We can do it every week if you want to. Whatever you need, Andy. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Josh Spiegel. Did you enjoy this episode? Does the Wedding Biz podcast impact you in your career? If so, please give a review and also a 5-star rating. I would really appreciate that, and it also helps people find the show. For Josh Spiegel, check out his website, which is birchevents.com. And you can find him on social media with Instagram and Facebook at Birch Event Design. And next episode in 2 weeks will be planner designer Larry Walsh out of London. It's a real special conversation. So we'll catch you next time.